Hello and welcome everyone to this live stream from Noroff University College. And today we are going to present to you the different study programs that we have. And hopefully you get inspired and want to apply and start studying with us. We have 5 different bachelor programs. We have cybersecurity, digital forensics, applied data science, interactive media, games, and animation. And for you to get a bit more insight into the different programs, we have 2 guests, but also some students attending today. We have Emlyn Butterfield. He is representing all the computing programs that we have, cybersecurity, digital forensics, and applied data science. And then we have Joshua, who is representing both interactive media, games, and animation. In addition, we have Christian, Odne, Magnus, and Fredrik, who are students. And hopefully I will ask you some questions along the way. And for those of you watching, please feel free to add your questions in Messenger or in the live chat, and we will try to respond to all of them. So, I would like to start with you, Emlyn. Welcome, and thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Yes. Would you like to just give us a brief introduction to the different programs within computing?
So obviously I'm in charge of the computing programs that we have here at Noroff University College. And I think we have some very good, excellent, unique selling points within our programs in terms of specialisation. So we don't focus on the general computer science or software engineering. We go for the technical focused, specialised areas that are really upcoming and people are demanding them in industry. So computing, generally speaking, people always see it as programming, databases, networking, and that can sometimes come across a little bit boring, might be unfair, but potentially boring. But actually computing is wonderful. There's so much that can be done and there's so much opportunity within computing. We've seen so many technology changes from when we were both younger to where we are now, and there's loads of opportunity inside of there, and we're really grasping that here at NUC in terms of pushing that forward and finding the new boundaries and new research. Data is everywhere, and data is important now. Data actually has value. You know, monetary, physical money we don't really use, especially in Norway. It's such a digitized economy. Now, if we look at how much data is floating around on the internet every minute of every day, we see these kind of statistics, which when you look at them the first time around, are a little bit scary. You know, 694,000 hours of YouTube, Slack messages, Zoom, Instagram. We are completely obsessed with technology and using technology on a day-to-day basis. Now, the key with our programs and our bachelor programs is that we can utilize all that technology, all that information, and we can specialize in data science, in security to defend the systems, and in digital forensics to try and protect the systems and investigate what's gone on as well. There is a massive market demand. So when you look at the statistics, you can see globally digital forensics is expected to grow to $9.7 billion US in 2022. That's a massive amount of money, and it's leapt up from 4.6 billion in 2017. And then when we look at cybersecurity, we can see we're going from 17.29 billion in 2019 to 38.13 billion in 2025. And then data science and the people who are specialists in looking at data and understanding data, they expect there's going to be more than 1 million skills, get more spaces for people to enter the career in 2025. There are lots of opportunities out there, and we want the students to progress and develop into that. Here at NUC, we really focus on the practical application of skills. So we don't want just people to be able to read a book and go out there and theoretically talk about things. We really try and focus on the practical application. Can they analyze data? Can they analyze network information? Can they build a system? Can they analyze data sets and produce something that understands what's going on? That's where we really want people to be. We want them to enter a graduate career at the end. We want them to enter industry, and we want them to represent us positively, and that's where we're trying to focus all our efforts. We have 3 specialist areas that we've already said. Applied data science looks at taking data And it's a real buzzword at the minute, I think. Taking data and really making sense of what's going on in that data. We have lots of data out there. We've already seen there's millions and millions of messages and YouTube information. We want to take that information, we want to use that information and make sense of it and present it in a way that other people can then make sense of it. And this gives us the buzzwords of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and they all come together in kind of one big umbrella, and that's where we offer those specialist areas. Data science as a degree program focuses on programming, it focuses on statistics, it focuses on data science as a general subject, and also visualization techniques. So it's trying to take data, interpret it, maybe we need to build tools to be able to interpret that information, and then present it back so people can make use of it. There's too much data. People can't make use of it when it's as big as it is now, so we need to try and soften that off a little bit. And that means that students can go into a variety of different areas, including further studies or masters. But some of the buzzwords when you go Googling for jobs in this area include data analyst, data engineer, machine learning engineer, data scientist, business analyst. And businesses are desperate for people with these skill sets. Then we go on to our next specialist area, and this is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a real popular term at the minute, and people are desperate to defend their data. There's so much data out there. The more that we pick up and the more we become digitized and we use more technical devices on a day-to-day basis, the more possibility there are for threats and for people to misuse those devices. So cybersecurity is a real developing area. It's miles behind where it needs to be simply because we can't keep up with technology changes, and also there aren't enough people in the job area to be able to fill those holes that are there. So this looks at defending systems. It looks at developing skill sets so students can stop people maliciously getting into system and misusing. And we see it on the news day to day, every single day. And cybersecurity covers anything from networking to programming. It looks at how we can use these fundamental technological aspects from networking and programming, and how we can then defend those systems. How can we put layers on top of that to keep information secure? How can we take the information that's available and then make use of it to then go off and defend other systems? And we look at anything that allows students to be practically oriented. So we want them to analyze data, we want them to implement defensive systems. Now the job market, just like in data science, is just as big. There's all these specialist buzzwords that people can go on to, but because of the way that we deliver the courses, there are lots of different job opportunities for students. They don't necessarily need to go into one of the specialist areas of penetration testing or security analyst. They have good fundamental technical concepts, which means they should be able to enter any kind of digital career or go off and do further master's studies as well. Then we have the digital forensic side of things. Now this is obviously my passion, so I'm going to be biased towards this one. But this is about where cybersecurity has not managed to stop the perpetrators from getting in, which is always going to happen because it's impossible to stop the perpetrators. The digital forensics teams will come in and they will analyse the data, analyse the devices, and they will try and determine who, what, where and when, what's gone on, and then they'll pass that on to whoever it needs to go to. And it's not just the police. Most people have the perception it is just the police. It's not the police. Everybody needs investigative skill sets these days. And it goes from the digital crime scene. It looks at trying to take those digital devices, and we teach fundamental computing concepts yet again on this degree, which covers programming, networking, it covers databases, and then we look at how we can build on top of that to be able to investigate those devices as well. And again, the graduate careers are booming. No matter which area you look at in any of these specialist areas, the job market is massive, not just in Norway, but across the world as well. And I think maybe that's a real selling point, is that our students are able to go and enter any job market, can move around the world, can work globally or even remotely, but their skill sets are in high demand no matter which country you go to. We have a shared curriculum in the first year. And that shared curriculum means that students can move between the degree programs. So maybe you start in applied data science and you realise, well, I want to do computing, but it's not quite where I want to be. So I'm going to move to cybersecurity or cybersecurity to forensics, or whichever way it is. We're trying to build that to allow some of that movement. And that's all in discussion with the programme leads, obviously, to make sure things are covered properly. And as the years then progress, the students do additional specialisations. So the first year, fundamental. It doesn't really matter too much where you come from technically. The first year will be that chance to get those fundamental concepts in place. The second and third years will specialise in forensics, in security, and applied data science. So at the end, you can enter your industry that you wish to enter. Questions will come towards the end.
Yes, thank you. I always want to start studying again when I hear you. Next out is Joshua from Interactive Media. I always think it's such a inspiring thing, especially with the data and the computing part, and then to the visualization.
It really emphasises our technical skill sets within house. Yeah.
So, Joshua, do you want to showcase what kind of project your students have been part of?
Yeah, sure. So we'll probably start off with animation. So maybe what we could do is start with rolling the animation show reel, and then we'll talk a little bit about it afterwards.
Over.
Super, it's finished.
Do you want me to continue?
Yes.
Okay. Joshua, thank you for showing some of the students' work. But did you have one on the games part as well?
Yes.
I think it's so impressive to see what the students. Joshua, would you like to say just a couple of words about how the study programs are organized at Interactive Media?
Yeah, sure. So much like the computing, we have shared units. So both games and animation students get to work together for a handful of courses. But yeah, so what you get to, what you've seen through those, so we'll start with animation, things like character animation, 3D modeling, texturing, all that kind of visual stuff that was in the show reel, but also things that are behind the scenes that you don't necessarily see in the work that we've shown, or animations in general, things like storyboarding and storytelling, crafting ideas, also shot design and composition, things, you know, how to use the cameras. VFX and rigging is another thing that a lot of students watch these animations and may not understand that there's quite a lot of work behind them that isn't purely visual, and that's also stuff that we focus on with animation as well. With games, we look at gameplay design and mechanics, so how to actually make something that's fun and interesting. So again, beyond the sort of technical grasp of what you're doing, so the coding, the 3D modeling and texturing, also what makes a game interesting to actually play with. We also look at things like UI and UX design and digital sculpting as well. So we're making characters and different types of environment models using those sort of older techniques as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Joshua. And you give us so much information about the different programs that's possible to take. So I'm really, really grateful that we got some students joining in, because you are the one experiencing all this learning that we try to provide you. So I would like to start with Magnus and Fredrik. If you could just say who you are, what study program you are on. I would like to know, why did you choose the study program you chose?
Should I go first? Yeah. Yeah. I chose this study program because I've liked working with computers. I like doing more than them just playing games and watching videos. Wanted to know a bit more about how to utilize them, for example, for the workplace, or just for expand on a hobby, really. But always been a fan of mysteries and unsolved crime shows on the TV. So I thought it would be interesting to join up in digital forensics and see what that sort of originally crime solving case from an electronic perspective is like. And yeah, it has not disappointed at all. It was I'm happy to have chosen this program.
And Fredrik?
I chose the program for when I saw a lecture on cybercrime here in Norway from VG. It was a very interesting lecture, and it built upon what I wanted to do. And I looked it up and saw that Noroff had the course, and that was the reason why I chose it, and I've been very happy ever since.
What do you hope to do when you have graduated? What's your passion? Where do you want to go? You have so many opportunities.
Yeah, well, in third year we get the opportunity to choose a project which we want to specialize in something, and for me, I've chosen malware analysis, which is analyzing malicious software, ransomware, especially in my case. That's pretty rampantly used in attacks these days. I think VG said there were 29 ransomware attacks all across Norway for this last fall. So it's a relevant topic to go into, and I've had a blast working with it so far. So that's something I was hoping to eventually potentially go into.
And you, Fredrik?
I've been thinking a lot about that. I first want to maybe get a master's and then see where everything takes me. I want to dive deeper into digital forensics.
And then I have to ask you, being a student at Noroff, what's been the best thing so far? What would you like to say has been the best part of your studies so far?
I think especially what kind of community we built as a campus students. I think that's I think that's one of the best parts. I mean, the lectures also are, been really great. I mean, some of the topics that we've had throughout the 3 years have been, we've reinforced our interest and found that we kept enjoying what we wanted to do once we got in. But it has also been new discoveries of new passions, really. So I'd say there's a lot of things you could point at, which is the best part, but a lot of things there's a shared first place among a lot of things, really. The community we make and the material we're given, really. It's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, the technical aspect as well has been one of the more interesting parts of going to Noroff. I've been really happy with learning more technical skills and also getting to know other people that are really interested in computing and technology in general.
Christian and Ådne, there's almost the same questions, because I'm really interested to hear what made you decide to study interactive media. I can start with you, Christian.
Yes, that's fine. I'm Christian. I'm going interactive media games, and well, I chose this study program because my grandpa and I used to play a lot of games together when I was really young, and I really wish to give the same joy that I had back then to people now. And, yeah.
That's a very personal motivation. It's nice. But how come you chose Noroff?
Well, I was looking for a school because I know the industry language is English, and there's very few schools here in Norway that actually has this type of study program in English. And there's a really big benefit to having it in English because, you know, the change from going at this school to the industry is not going to be as huge. And you're already going to know the industry language, which is going to be huge for communication, and it's going to definitely help you get a job in the future, as you're going to be able to communicate what you want. And that's a key skill that a lot of companies want as well. I also did a little bit of research on the teachers that were at the interactive media games, and yeah, they all have amazing backgrounds and they have worked for huge companies. So I mean, they definitely have the experience to back up everything they're teaching.
Sounds like good skills to do research. But where would you like to see yourself when you have graduated?
When I graduate, well, I would like to go to a AA company, I think. So I'm already looking at, since I'm towards the end of my bachelor already, I'm looking at sending out applications to companies that I'm interested in. And I would like to work in the industry for a couple of years, maybe 2, and then think about getting a master's degree eventually after that. And once I've done that, I'm probably going to be looking at doing my own thing, some indie development.
Very interesting, thank you. Ådne, what was it making you decide to join interactive media and games?
Well, I have played games my whole life, basically. So the interest has always been there. And when I discovered that I was on YouTube and just saw people making these incredible things. And I think like, well, why can't I make this? And so I started to do some research and see that there was this course at Noroff that I could take. So I figured I'd just try it out and see if it is something I like. And now I'm in my 3rd year, so obviously I like it.
So where do you want to see yourself when you're graduated?
I would love to just get a job. So the time to apply is nigh since we are graduating. But yeah, I'm looking at studios that does interesting projects that I really like, which is mostly located in Scandinavia and Europe. So it's like Denmark, Sweden, Poland, Finland. Yeah.
Since you're a third-year student, I forgot to ask you, Christian, what's been your greatest experience being a student so far?
Well, game development is huge. So figuring out what part of the development process that you really want to specialize in has been a big pleasure, because the IMG course lets you try out pretty much everything, at least a little bit, and then from there you can really hone in on that throughout the different courses once you figure out what you really want to do. And since you have teachers there that obviously specializes in everything around there, you're able to go to them and really get specialized help for reaching that goal that you want to do. So.
Thank you. Odne?
Well, I love to learn the right way, because you can easily go to YouTube and learn how to do things. But when you start at Noroff, you get a more in-depth why you do what you do, and not just how to do it. And that just comes in really valuable down the line. So I think that's the biggest thing I'm gonna take from studying at Noroff, is to a more in-depth learning than what YouTube could give me.
I also have one more question I would like to ask all of you, and that is, if you were to be a student starting now in August 2022, what would be your advice to new students? What should they kind of prepare for? We can start with Magnus and Fredrik, and then Odne and Christian again. I didn't prepare you for this one.
I don't have anything right away, dude. Huh.
I can go if you need some.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Time. Yeah. So my advice would be just try to stay hungry. So try to always ask questions for your teachers. You pay them for a reason, right? So just just keep nagging them, and also if you have some spare time, try to have a personal project, because what you will try to hold it like separate from the school, so you learn different things, and that way you're really going to ramp up the learning curve.
Thank you.
I would say the biggest tip I could give is stay on top of things and be as Odne said, hungry for knowledge, and try to stay on top of your work and be prepared for struggles as well, and ask your teachers.
And try and be as regularly engaged as you possibly can. Have routines. If you're a campus student, do your best to try and show up on campus as often as possible. Try and find a group that also comes to campus as often as possible. So it really makes a difference to if you prefer to have an office outside of your home, to come to campus and have others engage with you, you ask questions. They keep the workflow going, even though you potentially have a course that isn't as fun as as other courses are. And it gets you through things easier than just if you decide to work just on your own.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of reiterate and say the same thing as Magnus and Fredrik said here. Show up on campus if you are a campus student. It greatly improves your, will to work. You're in an environment that is inspiring, and you're with teachers that are there to inspire you as well. And you're definitely going to learn a lot from just being there and having these chats with the teachers as well. Self-studying is a big part, because it's college. It's a university, right? So you have to learn how to self-study, and that is a valuable skill which you're going to be using for the rest of your life as well. And the other tip would be make habits, because those are easy to follow. Don't rely on motivation, rely on habits.
I think I will take that habit feedback back to myself. Thank you. But I would also like to challenge Emlyn and Joshua. Like, for you, knowing so many students, you have the in-depth knowledge in the study programs. What would be your advice to new students?
I think for new students coming in, my advice, apart from the work ethic advice so far, which has been really good, would be to involve yourself in your subject. So for animations, watch a bunch of animations that might be outside of your regular watching. Try and sort of live within that theme. Also games, play games that you're not normally playing. Try and assess what you're really finding fun with those games, and try and apply that to others as well. So basically just try loads of new things just before you arrive at Noroff, and that way you've got a good spread of knowledge of the industry.
Thank you.
I think ditto would be my straight answer to this. Is actually enthusiasm is key. So students who are enthusiastic about what they're learning will stick at it even through the tough times. There'll always be things that you don't enjoy quite as much as other courses. While we try, I'm sure Josh is the same, we try and make things as exciting and enjoyable as possible. Sometimes there are more mundane things that do need to be covered. So enthusiasm, having enthusiasm for when you came in, why did you choose that subject area? Where do you want to be at the end? Have that end goal. Keep the enthusiasm going, engage with things outside of the curriculum, just as each of the students and Josh has said. Make sure you identify, I don't know, clubs, societies, things that you want to do that we're not just teaching you directly. Not only will that keep your enthusiasm going and you'll build this social community, and the social community is really key in terms of being able to keep engaged, but it'll also identify things that you can put on your CV at the end that show you engage above and beyond just a standard curriculum. You are doing X, Y, and Z, write it on your CV, present it to the employers, it makes you much more employable.
I think it's really interesting what you're saying, both Emlyn and Joshua, but also the students, because we have a very close relationship with industry. And I think that for your generation, it's been like, and for the coming generations applying for us now, it's been like this rush for having A's and B's. And if you don't get A's and B's, you're not worth anything.
Yeah.
It's a fight out there. But what the industry says is that actually they don't care about your grades. Well, you should. As much. Like, they care about your passion for the subject. They care about your enthusiasm. They care for your hunger to learn more. Yeah. So the attitude is as important as the grade. Like, of course, you should pass and you need to stay on top of the curriculum. But it's not the end of the world if you don't get an A every time, or a B. C is a very good grade.
It's quite a circular thing, isn't it? Because if you have that motivation and you have that willingness to keep trying, your grades are just going to naturally get higher anyway. Yeah,
and that also relates to the network that you are building with your peers.
And the extracurricular things that we do on campus, both online and physical campus, engaging with that. It makes our job much more interesting as well, and being able to engage and talk to students. Is the reason we're here is to show our enthusiasm for our different subject areas, and hopefully that rubs off on our students and they take that forward to the next generation. So that extracurricular things, it just allows you to enrich and immerse yourself in the whole university college lifestyle instead of just, it's not a MOOC, it's not an online course, it's something more in depth. It's what you're going to live and breathe for, 3 years? And so you really do need to get into it.
Yeah, I think that was a very, very good summary. Do we have any questions coming up? I'll just see if there are anyone. Yeah. How is the university college different from vocational school? Would you like to?
I can start.
Yeah.
I think the vocational school is very much kind of somewhere between high school and university, so it's more teacher-led and it's more practical without the theoretical. The university college looks to be more theoretical with the practical underpinning alongside it, but it allows you to push boundaries and find new research opportunities and new technology and apply new technology, which you won't necessarily get in the vocational side of things. And it allows you then to progress forward into further areas of study, such as master's programs. Joshua?
Yeah, I mean, very much the same, because it's the same kind of difference between all the programs. But yeah, I think that the university programs are a little bit more personal, because you can try and kind of, as Christian was saying earlier, find your specialty and apply that all the way through the different courses, and then that way it's more about you developing than about your necessarily like practical skills.
Then we have another question. How does it work with the Norwegian Lånekasse? I can answer that. All our programs have been approved by NOKUT, and hence all study programs are eligible for a loan and a scholarship in Lånekassen. Can I switch from online to campus or vice versa? Joshua?
Yes, is basically our answer. At certain points in the year, yeah, we've done that before, and I think we'll probably continue to do it.
But I think it's important that there are some fixed dates, so it's just not the complete.
Yeah, you can't just change constantly every single week. There has to be points where we say.
If it's mid-semester, yeah.
Yeah, so but there are opportunities, and there's different ways of learning and studying, and circumstances change, so it just adds to that flexibility, I think.
And then what is the difference between a campus and an online study?
That's a very good question. The campus students have us face-to-face, so they get to see us, which might not be necessarily a good thing, on a day-to-day basis, and we can communicate constantly with them, so they have hands-on personal contact with us. The online students, they have lectures streamed to them, and they have online support through our various different technological systems that we have. And I think that the big difference is the community that happens physically on campus and the resources that are available on campus. So specialist equipment, we can run workshops, we can run seminars with the students, and it's much more interactive and engaging as a physical student as it is an online student. The online students have the flexibility in terms of they're remote, they're not here in Kristiansand, and they still have access to the similar kind of lectures and tutorials, but it's more about the resources and the face-to-face community with staff and students.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is the flexibility of support. So it's obviously very easy to pop round to a student's screen and help out very quickly, but online it's quite challenging and time-consuming. So we tend to give the campus students that little bit of extra support you might find, just because we're physically there as well.
Do I have to be fluent in English?
You have to pass the minimum requirements for English.
I think maybe that could be answered by one of the students.
I can go.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
I do know there's actually a classmate, for example, that doesn't have the best English skills, for example, and he's doing just fine. And I mean, yeah, even if you don't have fluent English skills going into Noroff, you're going to get better as you're there as well. And if you don't understand anything, the teachers are very good at showing you visual aid as well. So yeah, usually it's not a problem. Don't worry about it.
You would also want to develop the English skills. So to challenge yourself is a good way.
Then I would like to have one more question before we end this session, and you can continue asking questions if you like. We'll try to answer all of them. But it was one. Yeah, can you tell me anything about the research at Noroff University College?
Of course. Well, we're very much teaching focused in terms of our research. So we're developing new technology and looking at new technology and applying that within our teaching. We have a regular cycle where we try and get all staff who are publishing work to then bring that back in and show it to the students, get the students engaged. We try and get the students to publish their work as well. So they're doing some really cutting edge stuff. For example, Frederick and Magnus, Fragnus is going to be a new nickname.
Fragnus.
Frederick and Magnus, they have done application analysis on Android apps, and some of that work is publishable. We can push it out, but the staff are doing similar kind of work, and we can bring that in again into our teaching, and we can try and make sure our teaching then keeps on top of where we need to be and kind of future-proofing our stuff, as well as working with industry to make sure what we deliver is appropriate and more towards the cutting edge than old theoretical books.
Very
Technology
good.
is changing very quick. We have to try and keep up with that.
Yes.
It's a constant race.
Yes. Joshua, do you have a comment on the last question?
No, nothing to add.
Well, I think, I hope that some of you got some inspiration. It's time to apply if you want to start studying in August.
I think it's worth saying that the details about the programs are all online.
Everything.
And we should go and look at them. And there are also webinars that give more detail about each of the programs, which are online as well, that the students can go and look at.
Yeah, go and look for more information and reach out if you have more questions. So, good luck to those of you watching, and thank you so much for you attending. It was really, really valuable. Appreciate it. Okay, bye. Thank you.
Bye.